and welcome back to the Nasty Metal Production channel here at YouTube. I said I was gonna do a review this today, but over the past couple of weeks or so, I've been listening to a lot of stuff, and it's just been piling up. So I just want to because I want to do at least a currently listening to video to talk about these stuff, but due to the fact that it was piling up and everything, I want to get this shit up. So so what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about these at least and just show off the ones I've been listening to. So with that, let's definitely get in. Of course, so you know what, let me kind of get into the it's playing in the background. I don't have the cover in my hand, but this was something I downloaded off of Bandcamp. This, of course, is a pretty new band. They're called Midnight Force, and I think they are a British new wave or traditional heavy metal band. They're very new wave or British heavy metal sounding. Don't want to confuse you, but new wave or British heavy metal sounding, not new wave or traditional heavy metal sounding. But still, this is good stuff. I'll definitely link you to their Bandcamp page. Definitely support the guys. These guys are pretty good. So let's definitely get in to the actual stuff. So first thing, I spent this one last night. I spun it actually. Just a classic, Captain Beyond's self-titled debut, classic heavy psych record. Though pretty heavy though for 1972. Good stuff. One of the best things I think that Rod Evans had sang on, because he didn't really sing on the heavy material by Deep Purple. But this album, just definitely a classic, and I think anyone here who knows this, it's a classic. Alright, another one. Saxon's Wheels of Steel. It's a classic again. What else can be said? Of course, I'm wearing my Saxon shirt that I purchased when I saw them last year, and they had opened with the song Motorcycle Man. They ended up playing about songs such as 747, Strangers in the Night, and Wheels of Steel. Just a classic album. Another classic here, Scorpions, Love Drive. Just a killer album. That's all. It's a classic. Loving You Sunday Morning, another piece of meat. Coast to Coast, Can't Get Enough. Love Drive, Holiday. What else? Also, I ended up spinning this one as well. The White Snake box set. Ever since when I was doing that whole 1978, top 30 list, when I threw a White Snake on there, I ended up also not just listening to those two that I added there, but I ended up also listening to the whole entire fucking box set. It's like you listen to one thing, then you end up getting thrown to a kick, and that's what happened. It's just classic material within this box set. All their 70s material, pretty much. Everything up to the EP, up to Saints and Sinners. Classic. Another classic as well. After reviewing, the Metal Church album from this year, I ended up also spinning the first album. Classic as well. I did do a review for this one, and since I did mention that I did a review for this one, I'll just link you to that one as well. That I did part of US Power Metal Month. Classic. There really isn't anything else to say. First album, that was the first one to have, David Wayne. So, another classic as well. AC/DC's Dirty D Dungeon Cheap. What else can be said? Alright, so definitely I'm going to talk a little bit about this. This was one I ended up spinning just because I was kind of in the mood. I wanted to give the album and this set a chance. But this, of course, is the Twisted Sister Armory Classics, which is a 3-disc CD set that it's a juke case, no mini LPs. Pretty much includes both You Can't Stop Rock and Roll, Come Out and Play, and Love Is for Suckers, as evident within cover right there. I'm not gonna go and show off the whole booklet or anything. I don't want to take up the whole fucking video, but I got this set last year, and I saw it there, and I didn't have any good physical copies of these albums anyway, so it was a good way to actually get these albums, at least physically, in my collection. And definitely a good set. I think, namely, I got this mostly for You Can't Stop Rock and Roll, which is a damn good album. That and their Under the Blade, the first two records, are pretty much my favorite from them. Of course, Stay Hungry is an alright album. It's got some good songs on there, but I think that album's just kind of overplayed. But here, the one is like, well, I did like the Come Out and Play album. It's a fine album, but it's not their best. The only really good song on here that I actually think is the best is The Fire Still Burns. It's the best song on this album. It's probably the only song that really have a heavy feel to it that would have actually fit on You Can't Stop Rock and Roll. Even the debut, Under the Blade, it just has that riffage. But it's the album Love Is for Suckers that I have kind of an issue with listening to. It's like, I like Rat, I like, some of that stuff, like more Motley Crue or so, but for some reason, I just can't get into Love Is for Suckers. And I tried listening to it again because I wanted to give it a chance, but I couldn't. The album has, to me, just has so many skippable songs that it's just hard to sit through. I think Love Is for Suckers is probably, to me, the weakest album by them. It's just, even though Come Out and Play is not far behind for being their weakest album, but Love Is for Suckers just has, to me, probably the most... I understand that they were definitely trying to, to hop on that sound a bit, because it was pretty popular still by the time that Love Is for Suckers was released, but it's just, to me, not that great of an album. There's probably about 2 or 3 good songs on here that I actually... or songs on here that I actually could sit through, but the rest to me is just meh. Not really that great. So it's enough about that. Ended up spinning this one as well. This, of course, is Def Leppard's On to the Night. To me, if I had to keep one Def Leppard album, I actually probably just keep this one. But then there's also me bumping him with High and Dry, because that album kind of holds as a bit of a nostalgia factor for me. It holds value. But this good album. That's all. If you think that Def Leppard were nothing but a poofy sort of fucking band, whatever, just check this album out. That's all that has to be said. Just check this album out. Definitely the most new wave of British heavy metal sounding of their stuff. Also ended up spinning this one as well. Dawkins, Breaking the Chains. This is probably the most sort of glammy sounding of their stuff. Sure, Don Dawkins' vocals may be kind of, iffy for some, but the music on here, just musically, this is probably their most rawest and heaviest album, in my opinion. Sure, Tooth and Nail has got the technicality, and same thing goes for Back for the Attack, but Breaking the Chains has that raw sort of edge to it. Just a good album, in my opinion. Alright, so let's definitely also get to one that I end up purchasing over the week. Since I had purchased the reissue of the first album, I decided to go ahead and get the reissue of the second album, which of course is Metallica's Kill 'Em All. Of course, a mini LP style thing, and it's a gatefold. If you can see again. I definitely want to check out the remastering, and definitely they brighten the whole thing up, just like a Kill 'Em All. It brightens up the sound quality, the You could definitely can hear things more clearly than you probably would have did on the other one. It's definitely a little surprise to me, but still, it's a good album. This and Kill 'Em All are two of my favorites from Metallica, along with the Dave Mustaine era demo material. But yeah, what else should be said? It's definitely a speed metal classic. Just a great album. I ended up picking up that for like $5. Alright, another one I ended up spinning out because I was in the mood for it. Journeys, Looking to the Future. Definitely, they're probably this. It's definitely part of the more prog years, but still, to me, I like this album very much. It's probably one up there as one of my favorite Journey albums. Just a good one. Nothing bad to say about it. Alright, so, I think I need to talk about the one, before I show this one, I need to talk about the one that kind of inspired me to actually bust out the album I was going to talk about. So, because these kind of tying together. Alright, so, I definitely I wanted to listen to it again. This, of course, was Wasp's debut. But what led me to spin this, even though this is a classic album, nothing more, it's definitely just a killer album from start to finish. But what inspired me just to pick this one up again, because was what kind of put me on that is after listening to this. Chris Holmes, Shitting Bricks. Yeah, even though I bought this one earlier this year, I was on it. I somehow wanted to listen to it again. And listening to it again, it's Chris Holmes these days, especially the material off of here, it's not supposed to be taken seriously. That is what should be. But the thing is, Chris Holmes probably takes this shit so seriously that he actually does shit bricks. While I think the riffs on this album is probably the best thing he's probably have done since his years with Wasp. Because the sound on this album, at least, musically, it's very much within the first album, The Last Command. It's definitely within that. But what kind of would throw a lot of people off is the lyrics and the sort of themes for it. You got a song on here called Shitting Bricks, which is pretty much about, I guess, what the cover depicts. Getting chased by cops, even though there's another song on here that's about fucking cops or so. Definitely not a bad song. Got good riffs on here. Never mind. It's probably the most sloppiest sort of acoustical piece, but it's not bad. And you get with it. Not a bad song at all, but I think what turns a lot of people off from this material is probably also because of Chris Holmes' vocals. He's not the greatest singer on the entire planet, but I'll have to say, I actually kind of admire it because of it's more going, just not giving a shit, I guess you can say. It definitely doesn't, but it's more, I guess that's saying, he knows he's not a great vocalist, but due to the fact that it's just rock and roll, that's what it is. It's rock and roll. I know fucking Scott Waters would always describe for singers that are not all so great. The saying is, I can't sing, I don't care, it's only rock and roll. That's pretty much the one thing, the attitude that he goes with. He just goes for it. That's the one thing I admire. But of course, after that we got also Let It Roar, which was actually one of the music videos for it. Not a bad song. It definitely really does have that sort of old school Wasp sound. But both Let It Roar and the other song that comes after it, Born, Work, Die, which have a fucking even more terrible fucking music video ever. There's a scene with freaking Chris Holmes playing at the fucking toy truck. What the fuck? But looking up the bands that Chris Holmes has played with, I ended up coming across one that was one of his other that he had formed after leaving Wasp. It was called, God, their name just seems to come out of my like Psycho fucking something. I can't remember. I may just put the name within there. But yeah, I can't just think of the name right now. It's something that just starts with Psycho, but I think I'll just put the name right there. Let It Roar and Born, Work, Die were actually written for that band. And they did release a demo, and early versions of Let It Roar and Born, Work, Die appear on that demo. So I almost think Let It Roar and Born, Work, Die might have been written while he was maybe with Wasp. I don't know. They're actually the two oldest songs on here as far as I'm concerned, because I haven't heard anything of some of these other songs in here. Can't even heard any information if these were even written also years ago. But of course you think, oh yeah, early versions. Definitely there's a different singer on there. It's not Chris Holmes, but singing on those two songs though, if you listen to them, that singer's no different. It's like, I think he really wanted to have a singer that was almost like Lemmy. He wanted something very closely to Motorhead, and here this is as close I think he wanted. He wanted to stay true to that old sound with that band that he had. That's all. So definitely not bad song. Of course, you got TFMF, which you really need me to say it out. It's called Two-Faced Motherfucker. Then you got Long Gone, which is the most. It's instrumental, and it's actually, again, I think it just shows that he's got ideas. He's got ideas. Definitely not a bad song at all. It's probably one of the best songs on here. It's just a pretty good song. And of course, now that you got In Your Mouth, which is so self-explanatory. And then 502 is the other song about cops. Of course, it's called 502. It's not a bad song as well. Don't Care. Definitely the motto that fucking Chris Holmes goes by. He doesn't give a shit. And Vegas Nightmare is the song that ends it. And it's not bad. The album is definitely good. It definitely does have a little bit of a southern rock vibe. Like I think it's probably as close to also the later material from Molly Hatchet, especially during the 90s period. So it's like a mixture of that and 80s Wasp. That's what to expect from at least this, of course. But yeah, I'm going to give it another spin. Not a bad album. I actually do kind of like it. I appreciate it. I admire the fact of what Chris Holmes actually had set out to do. But I do understand that it's not for everyone. It's not a bad album at all. I don't think it is. Maybe it's the fact I can tolerate singers like Chris Holmes than that. I don't know. Still, not a bad album. Alright, these next two are from pretty much one band. I did do a review for this one, but I ended up purchasing these this year, just a little recently. Okay, so first, I reviewed this one. This, of course, is Airborne's Breaking Out of Hell. I think I explained in that video that when I first found out about Airborne was back in 2008. Was through, of course, the song Too Much, Too Young, Too Fast, which, of course, was off the debut. I don't know if I'm going to really call that one the debut full-length album, which, of course, was Running Wild, because that other release before it, which was called Ready to Rock, it's practically a full-length album in itself. It's pretty much around 35 minutes long, and it's 8 songs. Sure, but how many full-length albums that you have about 8 songs on them? Fucking Metallica's Kill 'Em, Ride the Lightning has 8 songs, but that one's around almost 48 minutes. It's all about the timing, not about how much songs you fucking add. to the release, at least, as far as me. But still, with that, after I had checked out, Airborne back in 2008, I ended up liking it. I just ended up becoming a fan. I really liked the Running Wild album and the Ready to Rock release. Back in 2010, when this very album was released, No Guts, No Glory, I did also buy this one recently, and I'm going to explain why. When this was released, I didn't know that this was released until I went inside of Best Buy on that year, 2010, and I saw this sitting there, and I was like, I wanted to pick it up. I really did, because I wasn't expecting something new from Airborne, but I didn't. And since I didn't, I lost track of Airborne. There was another band though that I ended up getting more into that I also had found in the same year, 2008, and that was Bullet, who get compared to Airborne. They're of course they definitely were a little before the new wave of traditional heavy metal movement, but Bullet, which is I got something by them anyway. I talked about them before. Full Pool. I ended up getting more into Bullet and just forgot about Airborne. And I am also coming up with the thing that with some sort of thing within my head that Bullet were just way better than Airborne. And though I've now changed my mind that I think both Airborne and Bullet are two good bands. I like both of them. When I ended up hearing the song, what was it called? Let It Rip? Was it Let It Rip or So it was like one of the lead-off singles off the Black Dog Barking album, which was released after No Guts, No Glory. It didn't really rekindle my love with Airborne. Yes, that's how I put it. It didn't really kind of interested me to really get back into Airborne. It didn't do that. I don't know. And still then, from 2013, I was not really that inspired to really check out Airborne again as much. But occasionally, I would kind of go back to Ready to Rock, and I still would end up liking that album, but afterwards I just would lose it. I don't know. Just not enough to put me back in that kick, put me back in that mode to actually want to give Airborne another chance. So this year, when Breaking Out of Hell was about to get released, when I found out that this album was, the artwork and everything, it interested me. It did. It was almost, it was surprising because I was like, I think I was about to, get interested to listen to their stuff again. I just felt like it. However, when I finally heard the lead-off track, for which of course was the title song for Breaking Out of Hell, I actually ended up liking it. And I was like, maybe I should give their later stuff more of a chance. I think that was the issue I really ended up having was I thought that the later material was not going to be as good as Ready to Rock and Running Wild. I just wasn't going to think that's what I was thinking. However, when I did finally decide to go and get this album, I did. I liked it. And so it ended up interesting me to go back and probably check out some of their other stuff. And I went back to No Guts, No Glory and ended up checking this one out. Because I didn't check it out back in 2010. I think I ended up hearing a song off of this one. It just didn't do a whole lot for me. But finally giving this album, the listen, I liked it. So let me definitely go into the sounds. Breaking Out of Hell is probably Airborne's most kind of 80s sounding album. Surprisingly, this is a very 80s sounding album, and of course it's on Spine Farm, which is home to both Venom and Ranger. Yeah, they're Airborne on a metal label. They're on a metal label. Yeah, because Roadrunner are not really that much of a metal label these days. They were back in the 80s, but they're not anymore. This album is a very 80s sounding album. At times, it's probably the less ACD. There is some ACDC sounding stuff on this. That's the one thing that Airborne has always been compared to is ACDC. Not just for the fact that they're from Australia, but for the fact that they just have that, that sort of sound to them. But getting turned on to another Australian band, that was Rose Tattoo, I ended up kind of hearing a lot more similarities to Rose Tattoo than I really did with AC/DC. Sure, it's like, to me, Airborne sound was nothing, it's like pretty much a cross between Rose Tattoo and AC/DC. But there are some good songs on here. Thin the Blood, probably the fastest song. Of course, I did do a review for it, so I'm not going to talk a whole lot about this album in this video. I'll probably just link you to that review. So with that, it's a good album, of course. So that's all. But so definitely get into this one. No Guts, No Glory. Like I just said, when I said that I heard more similarities to Rose Tattoo than I did with AC/DC. With this album, you really do hear more of a Rose Tattoo sound. This is the most Rose Tattoo sounding album from Airborne. Every bit of this album, even though there is some AC/DC sounding song there, but this is very Rose Tattoo sounding. Everything, it's pretty closest to like the first 3 Rose Tattoo albums. And of course, you got the song It Ain't Over Till It's Over. It could have easily either been on like Assault and Battery or Rock and Roll Outlaws. Just got that real fast edge to it. And then, of course, you got Armed and Dangerous, another good track on here, and then Back on the Bottle. Both these 3 songs have that Rose Tattoo sound. There's just really isn't a bad song on this sound. This is just a good hard rock album within the last decade. It's definitely more hard rock sounding than, let's say, Breaking Out of Hell. Breaking Out of Hell is, at times, it's a very almost metallic sounding album. At times, almost more. That album is close to almost being Airborne's most heaviest album. In a way, it's a very metal sounding album in some ways, but still, both these 2 Airborne albums are good albums. Great albums. Definitely, just good. All right, so it's definitely ending out with this. Rats, Invasion of Your Privacy, want to listen to it again. Still a good album. I like this album, but I don't like it as much as Out in the Cellar and the 1983 EP. Just good album, though. Definitely good album. But to me, I think the first half of this album is good, but the second half I don't think is not nearly as strong as the first half. But still, good album, in my opinion. Of course, last one, Oz's Burning Leather. Good album. This is probably one of the best comeback albums in many years. This was released back in 2011. And this, of course, Oz are a Finnish heavy metal band releasing classics such as Fire in the Brain and Third Warning. And, of course, the Turn the Cross Upside Down. But on this album, this was their first album by the time of 2011. This was their first album in years. And this was definitely a great comeback. I didn't get to listen to this album until like 2013. But god damn, this was actually really fucking good. Of course, this album is kind of a mixture of original material and re-recorded material. And both, because they choose mostly songs off of Fire in the Brain, the song Turn the Cross Upside Down, and 2 songs off the Third Warning album. They mix very well with the original new material on this album. this, it just mixes well with it. Songs that you got Dominator, Let Sleeping Dogs Lie, Seasons in the Darkness, Burning Leather, and Enter Stadium are the 5 new songs that were exclusive to this one. Both great songs. Enter Stadium, though, has a bit of a new wave of British heavy metal sound to it. Almost reminding me a little bit of early Def Leppard and, like, new wave of British heavy metal era Def Leppard and Dead Ringer. Good stuff. Good stuff. But then the re-recorded materials, which are Searchlights, Fire in the Brain, Turn the Cross Upside Down, Gambler, Total Metal, and Third Warning. So you got that's 6 re-recorded material, and it's almost blasphemy to say that they're better than the original material, but they're just as good as the original material. To me, this album is kind of a testament on how you do fucking re-recorded material, in my opinion, because there have been so many re-recorded albums by I think Manowar is probably the main perpetrator for actually making pretty bad re-recorded albums, as I've heard. But these re-recorded material, they somehow retain that youthfulness that was, that was displayed at least on that original stuff. These songs are great. They mix very well with the original material, and to me, this just makes one of the... if I were to do a top 10 best comeback albums of all time, I would actually throw this in there. This is a fucking good album. I think Oz are just one of those few bands that really kind of said before Satan or, or maybe even Saxon, that say that bands, or even Hobbs Angel of Death, that old bands from the 80s can still come back and still produce fucking good material. And then, of course, I'll throw in Metal Church, whatever. And they can just still come back after many years and just release good material. That's that. So, definitely extensive stack of music here. I tried as much as skim, at least not too much talk about a whole lot of these, because I had some classics and some that I wanted to talk about. So, definitely just some good stuff. If you have heard some of these albums, you could definitely post your comments down in the comment section below. So, until then, I'll have to do a review tomorrow, or you might have seen that review. I don't know when I'll post this video. Really, I don't know when the hell you're going to see this, but you probably are watching it now on the day that I did decide to upload it on. So, until then, this is Heavy Thrasher saying I'm out, and I'll see you later. I think the next time you'll see me is when I do that big list video. So, until then, later.